practitioner and network marketing professional. As women, our bodies go through a lot of changes in life: puberty, childbirth, perimenopause, menopause. Often, when we get to the nest stage, we're looking at our bodies and wondering, what the heck happened? Why can't I eat like I used to? And what's going on? Turns out there may be a lot more to it. And so I've invited Teresa Funk to join us today. Teresa is a certified integrative holistic health and nutrition coach and a certified personal trainer. Teresa has developed a successful online business coaching and educating women to live healthier and sexier lives when going through midlife hormonal changes. So let me bring on Teresa. Hold on one sec. She's just coming. There she is. Hey, Teresa.
Hi, Cora. Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be great.
Yeah, excited to learn a little bit more about our liver. Who knew that was a liver that was going to help our hormones?
Happy liver, happy hormones. So,
yeah.
So basically,
go ahead.
It's all good.
Yeah, like women must come to you all the time and say, hey, at this midlife stage, things just aren't working the same like they used to. Is that like a common thread that you hear?
Absolutely. I definitely get a lot of those questions, like, how come I'm not losing weight? How come I'm feeling tired all the time? I'm not sleeping well. Just a lot of funny little things that go on when we reach, certain ages. And however, sometimes we don't think that there's some underlying issues to do more than just the obvious on the outside, like the weight gain and stuff. But what creates that? Why is that happening? So when we discuss and talk about the liver is super important to the whole hormonal production, hormonal function when it comes to our bodies. So let's first talk about what liver does, the function of the liver. The liver actually has at least 500 different jobs, believe it or not.
Oh, that's a lot.
It's amazing. It's the only organ that we know that regenerates itself too. So this organ is extremely resilient and very, very, very amazing. So basically, the liver supports the immune system and to make sure that the immune cells are functioning properly. Other jobs that the liver does is to detoxify. It metabolizes hormones such as estrogen. And when we are not metabolizing our hormones well, it's because we have something going wrong with the liver. The liver needs to have a space and have a clear pathways in order to metabolize these estrogen metabolites, if you will. So there's a couple of different pathways, and some are good and some are not so good. We want to stay away from the ones that aren't so good, because the ones that aren't good, that's very sciencey and it's a very complex system. But the ones that aren't so good, that's what causes a lot of cancer and breast cancers and irregular cellular dysfunction in the body, and which also causes hormonal imbalances, such as weight gain, sleep issues. The other side effects of having an unhappy liver, if you will, or sluggish liver, is you can also be depressed. You can have skin issues, blood sugar balance issues, also stuff with our sorry, oh my goodness, just was losing my train of thought there. So basically there's a lot of things that can go of disarray when our liver is not functioning properly. And just some of the things I
So is there some things that we can avoid, or what are the sort of common things that people might be doing wrong, say, that would contribute to your liver not working properly?
Definitely. Sometimes, we think that we're doing all the right things. It's like, oh, I ate well and I've been, taking care of my hair and my skin and I exercise and stuff like that. But, when it comes to stressing the liver, we have to look at, again, the root causes of what is going on. So a lot of that has to do with the food that we're eating. And even sometimes a food that we feel is a healthy food can sometimes act as a poison for our body and for our liver. So we almost have to do like, a detoxifying. And some people can be eating like vegetables, but are they eating enough, and are they eating the right types of vegetables to detoxify the liver? And there's a plethora of vegetables to um, to be able to enhance a better liver,
Yeah.
function.
Yeah. What's the typical ones that people might normally eat that are good for your liver?
Yeah, so some of those ones are called cruciferous vegetables, and our cruciferous vegetables are awesome for helping hormone production and helping liver detoxification. And those cruciferous vegetables come in a way of kale, broccoli, cauliflower. These are very normal, obviously, people know about these type of vegetables. But there's something other that we can do too. Some other greens called dandelion greens and mustard greens. Also, broccoli sprouts that offer like properties that actually help break down hormone metabolites and actually help clear away the pathways in the liver to break down those estrogens, because we have three different estrogens, and we need to make sure that the ones that we don't want are getting out of the body,
Yeah.
detoxing out of the body. And when the pathways are clogged or full of toxins and pathogens, then what ends up happening is that the toxin can actually recirculate into the body, into
Oh,
the cells. And that's where we start having estrogen dominance, because the liver is not working as
yeah.
it needs to.
And so,
Yeah.
should you do a liver detox? I think I've heard of people doing that before, but it's not something I've heard. Like people talk about detoxing, but not necessarily like specifically a liver detox. What are your thoughts?
Um, yeah. So liver detox, I mean, it doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be smart.
Yeah,
And there's tons of pills and potions and all kinds of things saying, oh, detox, detox, do this and do that. But the thing is, what you really want to give yourself is a really good nutrients for the liver, and you can further, give it some other things like some different vitamins and supplementation for sure. But that's not going to be the end all be all. You need to do
yeah,
the whole thing. We need to also look at other factors such as the products that we're putting on our skin, the plastics that we're using in our household items to store food. We also need to look at, is there pollutants outside that we're always constantly exposed to? Are we exposed to secondhand smoke that's causing congestion into the liver?
mm,
And we tend to not think of those things. And stress itself can bring on a bunch of problems as well,
yeah,
creating dysfunction. And we need to learn how to de-stress and to address, cortisol. If that's a problem, if we're being stressed out, we're going to, have an increase in cortisol, or we can. So we need to, address the stress. We need to address the nutrients that are going into our mouths. We need to decrease sugar. Sugar is a huge one. Sugar can deplete, good gut bacteria, which also contributes to unhealthy liver as well.
yeah,
And it can also, lend itself to creating a non-alcoholic fatty liver, and then leading into insulin resistance. Because believe it or not, diabetes actually starts in the liver. So there's
yeah.
a plethora of things to do that we can do in order to have a happier hormone balance and happier livers.
Yeah. I know. I remember when I kind of got into my 40s, some stuff even just didn't taste the same, like alcohol. Everybody loves drinking their wine and everything, but for me, I would notice after a glass or two, it was just like my guts just weren't happy with it anymore. It's like the whole body had shifted. And,
Yes,
it's how everything acts together. So it's really interesting to know how all the bits and pieces work and why it's happening, because we all just sort of write it off to, oh, or we're just getting older, or we're just going through menopause or whatever, and not
yes.
really knowing that there are some steps that we can take to improve things.
Definitely. And it's not normal to be going through all of that, especially in your 30s and stuff like that, when you're having that much hormonal imbalance. And I've had, women come to me in their 30s and saying, I can't lose the weight, and My hair is falling out, and I'm not feeling well. I'm not sleeping well. I got insomnia like crazy,
Mm.
and we got to look to the root issue. And it's basically your liver is not able to function properly. It's not being able to metabolize properly. So we look at the food first, always the food. And when we can start, understanding and implementing the proper nutrition, usually things are, they start, you know, um, getting a little bit better, obviously. However, that's, if there's something that's a little bit more than that, we can do other things to look into too. It's like I said, we got to look into our skincare. We got to look into the things that are in our household cleaners, pardon me, are another big contributor to congestion for the liver. So there is a lot of different things that we can do. And if you've done all those things and you're still not satisfied with the outcome, or things are still not going the way that you'd want, I think that time it would be good to see a functional medicine doctor who can really look at what is going on truly with your liver by doing a Dutch test. A Dutch test I would highly recommend to any woman going through some severe menopausal or hormonal imbalances. And because that can tell us a lot about every little hormone that's going on in your body, at least all the main ones. And it can also tell us what's happening with those pathways when it comes to metabolizing your estrogen and hormones through the liver. So there are definitely things you can do, but we always want to start with the basics, with the
Yeah.
food. And,
So if someone wanted to kind of get started today, say they're watching us today and they're like, yeah, I might have an issue with my liver. What would be
yeah.
the first steps that they could do to kind of start the
Mhm.
process?
So definitely, there's some key ways to start taking some steps to making your liver happier.
Mm.
And then, of course, we just talked about addressing your nutrition. If you're really not sure on how to address your nutrition, or where to address it, or what things to start with, I do have a nice little freebie on my website, and we'll talk about that at the end. And so we can start with nutrition. You need to also look at how much sugar you're eating, and addressing your stress, and taking away all alcohol if you can, because honestly, that's just going to be like gas on fire.
Yeah.
Not a good combination.
Yeah, which is tough right now, especially everybody is under a little more stress than normal. It's because of the way the world is at the moment. So it could be a little trickier.
Yes, for sure. And and if you're needing a little bit more support and help, I'm happy to help those that need that. And I do have a program on that I serve online to women 45 and over, helping them with their hormonal imbalances, and cleaning up their liver, and getting them healthier and happier.
Yeah. And is there some way, like, so how do you know if your liver is happy? Like, is there sort of any markers that you can tell that things are working properly, or is it just if it's not working properly, that's how you?
Well, yeah, you'll know it's working properly when you're feeling better, when you're losing some weight. Definitely, because, again, we're going back to those signs and symptoms of a sluggish or unhealthy liver. Um, Basically, is when we're having that stubborn weight gain that we can't lose, when we are kind of getting some skin conditions. We have liver spots, like they can be on our face and on our hands. That's a sign of congested liver. Skin tags is a sign of congested liver, and also a precursor to diabetes. And as well as, just brain fog can be one of those. So the gut and the liver, they work together, and we need to address both. It's not just the liver that you need to address, however you do. It's just we need to address both. And again, going back to when we're having sugar, it kills a lot of the gut bacteria. So we need to build up good body bacteria in order to have a healthier hormone production and healthier hormone evacuation, if you will. So that means, we need to include some high fiber foods and nutrition, so that we can, metabolize the estrogen out of our
Yeah.
fecal matter. That's where it comes out of, pardon me,
Yeah.
and through our urine. So understanding that, the nutrition is so important. And we can't just do it just for a few days and think that, okay, I'll just do like a detox for 5 days and then I'll go back to my same ways of eating, because
Yeah.
that's totally
Yeah.
counterproductive, right? It's not gonna be good. So we need to be, consistent, and not just 30 days, but it's a lifestyle change. You want to have a lifestyle change and being healthier and having more longevity, and letting yourself to not going right back into that hormone imbalance, because it can happen extremely quickly. So if you feel like, you're feeling better by addressing your nutrition, and you're losing weight and your hair's not falling out anymore, and you had to go and get some botanicals and supplementation, that's great. It's an all combination. But expect to do that, long term, as a lifestyle, and not to think that, you can just take it for granted by going out and having a bunch of sugar and alcohol, and not to say that we can't have treats. I mean,
Yeah.
we definitely can, but again, it's coming into thinking about that moderation and once in a while, and then also being smart about it. I want a treat, so okay, well, what does that look like? Am I going to make a healthier treat, or am I going to go out of my house to go get a treat so I don't have it in the house? Sometimes that's a huge
Yeah.
temptation for a lot
Oh,
of
I know
people.
that works for me. And I think too, with as far as kind of treats go, is to figure out what is your sort of triggers, like what is a treat for you. Like some people are more savory and some people are more sweet,
Yeah.
and to figure out what's a healthier version of that, so you can still have the treat, but it's a better version of it. And I know you've got lots of recipes for ideas for stuff like that.
I do. I have a plethora of recipes, and so yeah, there's always an alternative, if you
Yeah.
will, for a treat that you would want. And and you can have a chocolate bar. It's not to say that we cannot
Mhm.
do that anymore, but really you want to be strategic about it, and you want to think smart, and you want to look at the fact that, what about the ingredients that are going into my body too? Because
Right.
unnatural ingredients also causes a big problem with becoming, insulin resistant, and having a sluggish liver, having, thyroid issues as well. So we really want to watch the type of sugar, the type of food that is going in our body, especially if it is unnatural. It's not coming from whole sources, and even like cane sugar, even though there's stuff that out there that says organic cane sugar. It's kind of funny. We would think, oh, that's healthier for me.
Mhm.
No, not necessarily, right? It's still sugar. Sugar is still sugar. So if we're trying to stay away from sugar and you want something sweet, I would suggest using something called monk sugar, monk sweetener, and not the white stuff. It actually should look brown, and that'll be, the true monk sweetener that you'd want to purchase. And trying to stay away from, even honey and maple syrup. I mean, those are not the worst things, but when you're trying to decongest the liver and making it, more happier, staying away from those things for a time being would be a really great idea as
Great.
well.
Great. So you've got, just as we're wrapping up, then you've got some things you can share with people. So if they want to, they can get in touch with you for some more information.
Yes, so you can reach me at rejuvenatenutrition.ca. That's my website. You can also find me on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, as well as Instagram. And yeah, and I have a plethora of recipes. I have programs. I have little, freebies on my website. If you're interested in some key ways to support your liver, as well as a freebie meal plan to support your immune system. So yeah, definitely visit my website.
Great. It was awesome having you on here today, Teresa. And if anybody else wants to get in touch with Teresa, go ahead. And if you're interested in more stuff about empty nesters, just comment below with a yes, and I'll add you into my empty nester Facebook group. So it's great chatting with you, Teresa. I learned lots today about the liver and how to make it a little happier. And have a great day. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Cora. Thanks for having me.
All right.